everybody. Welcome to another Monday Night Live with independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator Teresa Harper. Thank you for joining me tonight on this night before the beginning of school. Happy Labor Day. And let's see. There we go. All right. Okay. Just hang out and wait and see who pops on. Tonight, we will be using the Beauty of Friendship and the Gorgeous Leaves bundle. The Beauty of Friendship is in the, hello Sharon. The Beauty of Friendship can be found in the annual catalog, and it has a coordinating set of dies. We are not, hello Mary, thank you for joining me. We will not be using the friendship dies, Beauty of Tree dies, Beautiful Tree dies. I think that's what they're called. But we will be using the Gorgeous Leaves stamp set along with the coordinating dies. And these are called the Intricate Leaves dies. These are in the holiday catalog, and you can get those as a bundle and save 10%. The Beauty of Friendship, like I said, that is in the annual catalog and is bundled with the Beautiful Tree dies. And if you purchase those as a bundle, you can also save 10%. I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday weekend. Let's go ahead and get started. Our first project is going to be a very simple card. And then we're going to build up from there. So for supplies for this card, you'll need a card base in Mary Merlot. Then you'll need a piece of basic white. And this piece is cut at 3 3/4 by 5. And then you'll need a piece of Bumblebee. And this piece is cut at 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Okay, and that's just for matting purposes. And then for the inside, you'll need a piece of basic white. And I've already stamped this one. That is cut at 3 5/8 by 4 7/8, and then a coordinating piece of Bumblebee cardstock, and this is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Not sure. My brain just went mush. By 5, actually. This one's 3 3/4 by 5. Okay. And then, of course, you'll need an envelope, and I have already stamped that as well. So there are our pieces. Now, tonight, we are going to be using a technique. Our card is going to be... Oh, I did the inside of that card wrong, so we'll have to redo that because it's in the wrong orientation. Okay. So we are going to use the baby wipe technique. So I have 2 baby wipes, which I have folded in half. And I've just put them in one of our clear cases. And we will be using our ink refills. And I have ink refills in, and I'm going to add one more to this one. We have Cajun Craze, Mary Merlot, Pear Pizzazz, Bumblebee, and Cinnamon Cider. Okay, so for this technique, I'm just going to open my case, and you could use anything that won't let your surface get wet. And we're going to start with the lightest color, so we're going to start with Pear Pizzazz. And I'm just going to put around some dots. And then I'm going to add my Bumblebee. And then we're going to go to Cajun. Well, actually, I think I'm going to go Cinnamon Cider. And then we'll add some Cajun Craze. And then I'm going to fill in with some Mary Merlot. I think I want a little more green right there in the middle. So I'm going to put a little more Pear Pizzazz in there. All right. Now we can set those aside. And then to get these to really come together, I'm taking just a plain spritzer. These are in the annual catalog with some water in it. And I'm just going to give it a couple of spritzes just to get those all moving. Okay. Now this is essentially our ink pad. Oops, and I sprayed. Let me turn that over. Actually, I'm not going to turn that over because that'll just give it some character. Okay, so I'm going to take from the Beautiful Trees. I'm going to take the more solid stamp, and I'm going to take the detail stamp, but we're going to start with the more solid stamp. And I'm just going to put this down and stamp. Then I'm going to rotate my paper, and I'm just going to keep going. And moving my stamp around. Until we have the edges filled in. I'm going to go back on these corners where I have just a little bit extra white. And I'm just going to fill that in. All right, so there is the beginning of our design. I'm going to go ahead and clean that stamp off. Just to help a little with the staining. Now I'm going to take my cinnamon cider. Actually, I'm not going to do that with this because I added the cinnamon cider. I'm going to go back with my detailed, and I'm going to go ahead and just do the same thing right over the top. Lining this up to fill in my treetops. And with this particular card, it does not really matter if you are exactly precise. With the detailed image. I am trying to get them, but if you don't sweat it because it won't matter that much. And we're rotating. And I think got one more here. All right, so there we are. Now we'll close up our ink pad so that it stays moist. And then we're going to take cinnamon cider. And from the same stamp set, we're going to stamp the sentiment, friendships refresh the soul. And we're going to ink that up really good. And we're just going to stamp this in the center. Just like so. All right. So let's pull out an inside piece because I stamped in the wrong direction. And we are going to take the cinnamon cider. Set this out of the way. I'm going to get the cinnamon cider and the tree. And I am going to stamp off and then I'm going to stamp that on. And then get those detailed, or the background stamp again. Stamp that over the top. And I'm going to take my detailed image and I'm going to bring this down, line this up. All right. And there we are. Okay, we have one more. The sentiment comes from In Your Words. And this is a celebration host set that you can get if you have a $300 order or if you gather orders together and have a $300 workshop. So we're going to use the stamp that says sending this for no particular reason. I'm going to line this up on my grid paper. Put my block down. And then again, I'm going to take the cinnamon cider ink. I set way away, and I'm going to ink that up. Line this up, and then I'm just going to put this right here. Okay. And then I will go ahead and grab a piece of Bumblebee. I'm going to cut this at 3 3/4 by 5. attach these two together. Oh man, this one apparently is cut off. Okay. Had quite a bit of that with these insides. I didn't get them. It's amazing how you can get different cuts from different trimmers. And they're just a hair off. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm going to have to go back and trim all of those that I cut earlier today. Okay, so now we can start putting our card together. So we have the Mary Merlot card base. Oh. Hello, Cynthia. Hello, Tracy. Thanks for joining. Did I miss anybody? Welcome, welcome. Okay, so let's go ahead and add this to the inside of our card. And then for the outside of the card, we are going to add our focal image that we just stamped to the bumblebee cardstock. And remember, this is 3 3/4 by 5, so this is 5 1/8 by 3 7/8, because I just wanted a real thin border. And then we're going to take some Stampin' Dimensionals and pop this up. And I'm using quite a few because I do not like saggy middles. Remove all those backings. Hello, Mrs. Glick. Thanks for joining us. Okay, and then we're going to add this to our card front, centering it as best we can. All right, and there is the first card. We call this a SIP card, stamps, ink, and paper. All right, so let me clean up and we will move on to our next card. Okay, so I'm actually going to remove this one stamp so we have this block again. Hope you all enjoyed that easy card. All right, let's put that away. And next, we have, I've already done quite a bit of this to start because it's a lot of the, some of it repeats. So I've already stamped my 3 3/4 by 5 inch basic white piece, doing the same technique that I just showed you with the baby wipe. And then I ran this through the Bark 3D embossing folder and I ran it, because this is going to be landscape again, I put it in this way. And I don't know if you guys know, but there is a, excuse me, black line on the front of the emboss folder. So I just put it in vertical so that my bark will run vertically when it goes through the embossing folder. So we have that, and it's already completed. And to that, okay, you're going to need to cut out a bumblebee, cinnamon cider, and Mary Merlot. The Gorgeous Leaves dies, and we want the one of the large in Mary Merlot. We want one of the smaller ones in cinnamon cider, and then we want this one, oops, in bumblebee. Okay, so you'll run those through the Big Shot, or through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And I've already done that. And then to those I've added some Wink of Stella. Okay, so there we have those and those. Okay, so we're going to need those three. Then you'll need a card base again in Mary Merlot. Another piece of bumblebee. And then we have our Whisper White. Okay. In addition, you'll need a piece of cinnamon cider, and this is cut at 1 1/4 by 5. And then you need another piece of big basic white, which is cut at 1 inch by 4 7/8. Okay, and let's go ahead and do a little bit of stamping on this. We're going to take the basic white, and again, we're going to take the Friendships. Well, before we put that on, we're going to take this, and we're going to use the wood texture stamp from the Gorgeous Leaves set, and some cinnamon cider ink. I'm going to ink that up, and we're going to stamp it off, and then we're going to put it on one end, do the same again, and get it at the other end. Okay, so that you have that. Then we can set that aside, and we're going to grab our sentiment again, which says Friendships Refresh the Soul. And we're going to stamp this to the left in full strength. Now, to line this stamp up to get it straight, I concentrate on the refresh and the words refresh and the, because those are straight. The Friendships and Soul are not necessarily straight. So if you focus on stamping refresh the, you will be more likely to get your sentiment straight. Okay, so there we are. Not quite sure I like the way that's stamped. Let's try it again. It looks a little sketchy. 2 sides to every paper. My cinnamon cider is actually kind of an inky in the middle. So I need to move my stamp around, make sure that I get even coverage. Okay, there we go. Let's try this again. Much better. Okay, much happier with that one. Now we can go ahead, if you have any, when your trimmer trims, if you have any raised edges, just take your bone folder along those edges and push it back down, and then you won't even know it's there. Okay, so now we can go ahead and attach this to our cinnamon cider. Trying to leave an even border. Okay. Now we can add our focal image layer to the bumblebee layer, and I'm going to do that with liquid glue because this is a 3D embossing folder. And I want to make sure I get into all those nooks and crannies. And then I'm going to center this up as best I can. Give that a press. And then I can add this piece. To that one. And I'm just going to put this one through the center. Keeping that straight. I use my grid paper. Make sure that I've got that straight. Okay. Give that a good press. All right. Now we can take our card base. Give that a good crease. And then add this. I'm going to take our leaves, pop out this little chad, and I'm just going to lay these down like so, and I'm going to attach those with glue dots. So I'm going to start with my smaller one. And I'm going to add this here like so. And that will actually put all three of them pretty much where I want them. I'll add one more glue dot just to hold the whole thing together. Okay. Then to this, we're going to go ahead and add this on our card base. And again, we're going to use Stampin' Dimensionals. Pardon my reach. All right, take those backing papers all off. can put this on our card base. Okay, so there we have that. And the final step for the front of this card is to grab my bow jig. And I'm going to get some of the crinkled seam binding ribbon. I'm going to figure out how much I need here. And I'm going to give that a quick trim. I'm going to get my scrap paper here. And then I'm going to take my Mary Merlot marker. Regular Stampin' Right marker, because we don't have blends in Mary Merlot. So I'm just going to use the brush tip. And I'm going to color my ribbon with my marker. All right. Now we'll have matching ribbon. And then I'm going to take a piece of linen thread. I'm going to put the two of these together. And I tried to do this without the bow jig. I wasn't very successful. Just not very good at tying bows with two ribbons. Some people are really good at that, and that's just not me. Now you probably would want to, oh, I didn't get that piece. Color your ribbon first so that it has plenty of time to dry. And then you won't end up with inky fingers. All right, so let's go ahead, try this again. All right. Okay, there we go. Now we have all the pieces together. And then I can go ahead. Ugh. I'm going to clean off my fingers. I didn't let that dry enough, and I am sweaty, which isn't helping. 76 degrees in my studio right now. Oh, 77. It's pretty warm in here. I think I might be able to open the window now. Okay, so now we'll take another glue dot. If we can figure out where I set them down at. I'm going to roll this up in a little dot. Oh my goodness. And I'm going to add that to my bow. I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool. And I'm going to put that down right there. And then I'm going to trim my ends. Okay, so there is the front of this card. For the inside of this card, I've take in and stamp the tree again with You Truly Inspire Me. And we're just going to add that to the inside of our card. Okay. And here is our envelope to coordinate. Looks like I got some mess on it. Ugh. Inky fingers, let me grab a wipe. Let me get some of that ink off of there. All right, so there is our second card. That is the slightly stepped up version. Ah, thanks guys. I'm glad you like them. Okay, so let's put that wet tissue out of the way. All right. So let's set those aside. Those are done. We'll bring those back in a bit. Okay. So I was on a roll with this set. And I went ahead and made a more stepped up version. And I've pre-done some of it as well to save us some time. This one, we're using the Gorgeous Leaves again, and this one card will actually make 2. Okay. So again, our card base is Mary Merlot. We have the base of Bumblebee. I have another piece of Cinnamon Cider. We have, this is the same size as this one. We have a piece of Basic White. We have a scrap piece of Basic White. Okay. So we're going to take our inking technique this time, and on our scrap piece of Basic White, we're going to take the leaves from Gorgeous Leaves, these 3, okay, and we're going to stamp some leaves as soon as I figure out what I do with my scrap paper here. Okay. So we're just going to stamp some leaves on here, leaving enough room to cut them out. Okay, and you're going to need at least 2 of each. Just stamp your paper. With as many as you can get, okay? All right, so now you have those, and you're going to take the coordinating dies from the Gorgeous Leaves, and you're going to run those through the die cutting machine, okay? And of course, I've already done that. So we're going to take all of those leaves that we stamped and cut. Okay. So they're right here. And we're going to put those all over our base of Cinnamon Cider. So we're just going to lay these out. Did you get the door open? Silly cat. No, you can't jump up here. Sorry, Midnight. Really? Say hi, Midnight. Go on. Yeah, you gotta go. He's not happy. All right, so we're just going to lay these out. Like so. I'm going to take some liquid glue. And you need to make sure that you get the stems of these glued down. And just glue this down. One second, guys. I gotta get the cat out of here. Go on, kiddo. Sorry about that. He's climbing all over the things he's not supposed to be so that he can get my attention. I didn't have the door quite closed. Solid. All right, let's see. He is not happy. He is sitting outside my door meowing. He does not like being told he can't be in here. But we're never going to get this finished if we have to fight the cat. Okay, trying to vary the positions of my leaves. Okay, one left. Get the hair off of there. All right. I'm going to turn this one around this way. All right, so there we go. So now we're going to take this piece and we're going to run this through the die cut machine. And we're going to cut it using the Picture This rectangular die. Okay, and we're just going to take this and put this right here like so. And I'm going to grab the, actually, you guys, I'm just going to run this through the die cut machine. Let me get a, there we go. I need a piece of Post-it tape. I've got the die cut machine right here. Off to the side. Okay, and so now this is what we have. So I'm going to pop this out of here. Pop these 3 pieces. All right. There we go. Okay. So our next piece is we are going to, again, which I should have pre-done, and I'm sorry. I'm going to take that piece of white, basic white, And we're going to grab these, only just the fill-in stamp this time. We're going to get our ink pad again. And this time our card is going to go in landscape. So I'm just going to go ahead and go around our card. And the nice thing about this is that you make this ink pad once and you can make multiples. All right, so we've got that. So now we're going to go ahead and set this stamp aside, and we're going to now we're going to take the leaf, the small leaves from Gorgeous Leaves, and we're going to again ink that up in our ink pad, and we're going to turn it and just fill this in. Moving it on that pad, trying to get all the different colors in. All right, so there we are. Now we're going to take and run this again through the die cut machine using the same die. So let me do that real quick. Okay. All right. And then we're going to remove this. I'm going to go ahead and leave these in because this is not the piece we're using. We're going to use this piece. And we are going to take and add this to our bumblebee cardstock. And I'm going to do that with some liquid glue because it's a little bit easier with the narrow borders. Okay. Got a cat hair on me. All right. Center that up. Okay. Then we're going to take and we're going to put these in here like so, right? But for that, I want to pop those up, and I wanted to save myself some trouble. So I am going to use the adhesive, the foam adhesive sheets. And I'm just going to add these. Like so. And then we'll put this in. Covering up our hole as best we can. The adhesive sheets save me a little bit of time because I don't have to take all the backings off all those pieces. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and get me a longer piece for the middle one. There we go. Pull that backing off. Let's go like this. Nope, doesn't matter, I don't think. Let's put it back like this. This one has all the little ones. All right. So then from a scrap that we had cut off of the basic white, what did I do with my pieces right here? I'm going to take one of those long strips and I'm going to get my stamp, the thank you stamp, and I'm going to use Mary Merlot. And I'm going to stamp the thank you. On here. And then I'm going to use the Pick a Banner punch. And I think I'm going to have to cut that a little bit off. And I'm going to turn that over and give that a snip. And I'm going to trim this down. And for this, I've made myself a handle. And I'm going to put that in my punch. And I'm going to give that a punch. Punch it just a little bit more. Yep, this is, no, I need it in this one. Okay, we're just going to go with it. Because I have a brain fart all of a sudden. Okay. Now I'm just going to take this because we already have the dimension on here. I'm just going to go ahead and add this. A little bit of liquid glue. Just like so. And then we're going to take one of these leaves and we're going to add it here. And let's see what we have down here. I don't have another one of, well, I might have to stamp and cut another because I used all my, what I could do. No, I think I want that. I could do this. I don't like that. I'm going to get stamp and punch another one of these. So let me find my scrap paper. Oh, my scrap paper right here. And I'll die cut one of those out super fast. And then we'll have it. Okay, so let's get this. And we'll grab the mini this time because we can. And we kind of have a mess going here. Let me move some of these things out of the way. It's pretty messy. Okay. We can take this. Oh, good. It fits on there just so. All right, so I'm going to take. Now, if you were doing this, of course, you would want to cut 3 at a time. I am going to hope this does not move on me. Oh, perfect. Okay. Set that die aside so I don't lose it. Then we can take our piece here, and I'm just going to line that right up with that other leaf. And I think I've got several of these leaves here that I've stamped, so I'm going to decide, okay, I like that one. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and for this, I'm just going to put my glue right here on my leaf. And let's see, how much of that is going to stick up? Not enough. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just lay that right atop the other one. Just like so. Then we're going to grab this one. And it is actually going to hang off, so we'll trim it when we need to. It's going to hang off enough though that we can actually, yep, we're going to put a piece of adhesive sheet on there. And I'm using the adhesive sheets because the adhesive sheets are not the exact same thickness as the Stampin' Dimensionals. So you will get a variation in thickness should you use the regular Stampin' Dimensionals or the minis. So I'm going to go ahead and put that down on top of that other one. And then when we add it to our card base, we'll see what, if any, we need to trim off. Okay, so I'm going to take this and we're going to get our card base of Mary Merlot again. And this time we're just going to add this. And I'm going to do that with some liquid glue because that's what I have real handy right here. And it will give me a little bit of wiggle room to make sure that I have it centered as best I can. All right, and then I'm going to take my paper snips and I'm just going to snip that off. It's that tiny little bit. Okay, almost finished. Our final piece on here is to take another piece of that seam binding, crinkled seam binding, and I've already colored this in the Mary Merlot, so I'm going to take and tie a bow with this. It's all dried and ready to go. And that's just going to give us a real small bowl. Trim those edges off. And with a glue dot, roll up that glue dot. Take your pick tool, and then we're going to add this. I'm not going to add quite where my first one did because I didn't line up the same. Let's just put it right here in the middle. All right, and there is the front of our card. Okay. And there you have it. Okay, let me bring back in those cards. Get these things out of the way. So here is the last card we made. And here is the first card that we made. Our second card, and then we have this card. Now, I told you that using those, with this last card, you can make 2 cards because you've got this piece left, and you still have all 3 of these pieces, okay? So with that, I'm just going to show you what I did. We're not going to actually make it. This is the second card I made using those other pieces. All right, so I hope everybody enjoyed that, and I hope that you'll consider the Gorgeous Leaves and the Beauty of Friendship bundles. And just a reminder that next week I will be moving to a new date or a new day of the week, because we will be starting ballet, and I will be ballet carpool on Monday nights, Mondays and Wednesdays. So we will be meeting Tuesday night at 7:45. We'll keep the time the same, and then we'll just move it to Tuesday night. Okay. Hope everybody loved that. Thank you, everybody, for all the kind comments. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next Tuesday at 7:45. Thank you. Have a good night.